maybe you would have got to a point where you made all this money and then you would have gone, totally bankrupt not having that experience, because then, when people have that rise to success, or that steep rise to success, we know about lotto winners and what their experience is, and how they can't hold on to their wealth for longer than 2 or 3 years after. And they actually find themselves worse off before when they won the lotto. That's a significant one, and it's really interesting to hear some of these thoughts around property investing, what it can do for you, what the whole emphasis of coaching and the whole ideas about motivation. I guess, Tony, a big question back on that motivation point. How strong does that motivation need to be? I guess this is what I kind of want to dwell down on a little bit, because people are like, I really want to. I want to get on that boat. I want to go and travel the world. I want to have, new experiences and so forth. But, is that a big motivator in actually getting things done and actually taking that first step and that 15th step and that 151st step in your progress?
No, it's not. No. So motivation's got to come from within. So it's not about the boat. It's not about the money. It's not about the bling bling and the fancy car. Well, how does that make you feel? What does that do to your emotions? It's got to come within. If you're fixated on the car, on the money, then you're going to end up in tears. You need to bring it back to internally. That's the driver, right? That is the driver. It's got to come from within. The second thing I'd say about this is motivation is like a sugar high. Think about it. 1st of January. Is everybody, or are most people, motivated? Yeah, 100%. They're motivated. They've got their new activewear, they've got their new shoes, and they're going to lose weight, and they're going to get out there and do it. They're motivated. But the second week of January, where's all that motivation? So motivation is only part of it, right? The other part of it then is got to form the habit. Right? It takes 21 days to form the habit. You've got to create the habit to keep moving forward. But then there's a whole lot of other parts around the fact that, the motivation being short-term, there's the whole pleasure and pain piece. So pleasure and pain being, we are motivated by things that give us pleasure and we avoid things that give us pain. And if I use weight loss as an example, we start off and we're feeling good about our getting out and exercising in January, and we've got our new activewear and our new ASICs on, and we're creating a lot of pleasure. What happens then in a few weeks after, it gets a bit hard. And I want to sleep in. And I want to spend some time with my family, and I want to go and party with my friends. And all of a sudden, I'm now shifting all the pleasure over those events and not on my exercise. And where we go wrong is... So what is it,
short-term happiness or...
Short-term.
Is it
it's short-term.
Short-term.
It's short-term.
Looking for the...
Yeah, so think about, then you have to project forward, right? And you think to yourself in 6 or 12 months, it could be whatever time frame, but let's just play out 6 months. If I don't move forward and do my exercise regularly, and perhaps I put on weight, perhaps I move closer towards, type 2 diabetes, whatever it might be, how am I going to feel? And if that doesn't start to trigger you, then go to 12 months. If that doesn't trigger you, go to 24. But it's all about projecting forward, pushing through this immediate short-term pleasure. We go for short-term pleasure. It's property development.
Quick wins in property development or property investing. People going, I want to renovate and flip. I want to develop and flip. I want to get all the money in the short term. I want that first perfect investment property. These are things that we hear, Tony, you and I, each and every day from people. And I kind of shake my head and I'm like, I just kind of feel sorry for the mindset that you have if you're going in that way of thinking about that short term, especially people that are like, under 30. But even if you're, over 30, it doesn't really matter. I'm 41 years old. I've got another 60 years ahead of me. So, that's the way I think. And obviously another Gary V terminology that we're using here. But, I've got that 60 years ahead of me. There's a long way to go. Why are we thinking so short term? Why are we thinking so many quick wins, Tony?
Yeah, because we have this mindset of instant gratification. We post something on Facebook and we love to get a like. We get a like, it's instantly. It gets our dopamine going.
Well, you get more likes than I do, Tony.
Well, that's because I'm a great guy. No, I'm only joking.
Oh, so humble.
But it's all... No, I'm only only joking. But it's all about, we want things instantly. Like, we don't want to wait for it. We don't want to do the work that's required. We want to see someone at the where they are in their journey, and then go, well, hey, I don't really know the backstory. I can just see Luke Moroney with 30 properties, or Tony Meredith, with his developments and doing his coaching business and whatever. They don't want to do the work that's required to that. And again, I go back to the fact that I've lost enormous amounts of money. I've sat here and cried my eyes out a lot of nights. We've gone through all sorts of heartache. So don't compare yourself to me. Get in, do the work, be persistent, be patient, trust the process. We've looped back around to the topic, Luke, which is trust the process. That is, that there is a process you have to follow. And I didn't follow a process. I didn't follow a process back when I had early wins in property investing, and I got caught out. And I learned a bloody valuable lesson. It's trust the process. There is a process. You need to follow it. And when you stick with it long enough, then you will be successful. What I believe that where people fall short is they lack the certainty of that. So that is, they don't stick with it long enough. They're not certain it's going to happen. And because we're not certain it's going to happen, then we chop and change. And I'll give you an example in property development. People look in this suburb, and they'll look in this suburb for a month or two. No, there's nothing over there. I'll look in this suburb. There's nothing over there. I'll look in this suburb. No. And they're constantly chopping and changing, as opposed to going, I'm going to look harder in this suburb, and I'm going to stick with this suburb because I know something's in here, as opposed to, oh, I've looked once, there's nothing there. I'll look over there. I'll look over. And they're constantly chopping and changing. And what happens? They never get any traction. They never, ever get any traction. They're busy, but they're not productive.
How much do you love the process, Tony? And when I talk about this and think about this, the more and more I hear from people like Gary Vee or Tony Robbins or others that I follow, is I'm really enjoying some of the lessons that I'm learning. I'm really enjoying some of the failures that I'm making and the mistakes I'm making along the way. And I put posts up now where someone actually sent on a post yesterday on our Search Party Property page. He's just like, you're a effing idiot. And I'm like, yeah, I love that. I want to explore the reasons why and find out what the message is behind that. And, a couple of people, retaliated to that. They were on the Facebook page and great. I appreciate those comments. I love the respect that other people have for us. Yeah. I love our supporters. But I wanted to explore it. And I actually told those people to go easy on the person that made those initial comments and to respect their ideas that they're coming out with, right or wrong.
Their opinion.
We're on social media. Loving that people have the retaliation. I'm actually trying to work on myself even more to deal with anything that gets thrown in front of me. Anything.
Well, you put yourself out there, right? So you put yourself out there. So you and I put ourselves out there. So we open ourselves up for criticism. But going back to your question around loving the journey, loving the process, you have to, because it's a long road. It's a long road, and if you don't love the process, then you're going to fall off very quickly. Steve Jobs talks about you've got to love what you do, right? You've got to love what you do. Find that something that you love doing, and it's also then about, when you love it, having a curious mind. A curious mind being, I'm not satisfied with where I'm at. My wife constantly says to me, when will enough be enough? Answer, never.
What about money? What about money? That's my question about it, because I know people that are never satisfied with the amount of money. They're always trying to make money on money. What do you think about that one, Tony?
I think that it comes down to the individual. It comes down to what it is that they want to do. There's no doubt that I want to constantly grow
just
wealth.
On the basis of money. Just say you had 20 million in the bank account. When do you go, enough is enough money? Or are you using your money to other good? I'm just flat out, it's about the money and the money only. You're talking about in terms of when there's enough in your own life.
Education.
Education is maybe that's what you're doing to help other people when you're going around to do 1,000 events in a week that you do each and every week. And all those, plugs that you give all the time about all the events that you go to, and you've got a list of like 1,000 events going on.
No list today. No list today. So in regards to money, I think it's an individual thing. I think take a look at Grant Cardone, for example, who's coming out to Australia, mate. He's constantly looking to grow more money. I mean, the guy's a gazillionaire, but he's out there looking to grow more money. So but then it's all about giving back to other people. Zig Ziglar talks about you can have anything that you want if you just help enough people get what they want. So if you're constantly helping people, then that's going to provide you whatever it is that you want. Money's such a personal thing, Luke, in the sense of for some people, they're happy just to have the bills paid and live in an average house in the suburbs. For other people, they want all the grandiose bits and pieces. So, but
yeah, I know. I'm just talking about money as a flat thing, because I know people that grew up very very poor, and I guess didn't have a lot of money at that time, and now they're to the extent where they've got a lot of money. They have an extreme amount of wealth, but they're always trying to make money on money for the sake of making money. I see this as a different thing. I don't know about you.
They're challenging themselves. Well, that's growth. What's growth? It's growth. It's how far can I take it? How much can I grow? If I've got 20 million, I don't, by the way, but if I've got 20 million, can I make 30? It's constantly challenging yourself and stretching yourself. Life is about growth. When you stop growing, whether you measure yourself by money or however you choose to measure yourself, if you stop growing, then you're dying, right? And so you want to constantly challenge yourself. So for someone who's at 20 mil, I can only but imagine that for them, it's the challenge of, how can I turn 20 to 30, 30 to 50, so on and so forth. It's just for us at our level, we're just talking in a few less zeros. That's all. But we're constantly, I'm constantly challenging myself from from a financial, one of the financial metrics. But they just add on a few more zeros.